Another 15 kilowatt hours today. Sunny day, very sunny day, no clouds, nothing. But this might be the last day I'm actually reading this inverter here. Because yeah, I was just on the roof here and I have cut off all the cable ties of this solar system, pulled out all the cables for easy access, because well, I'm going to replace the whole solar system including inverter. This will hopefully happen tomorrow, at least it will start tomorrow. So PowerMate Electrics is coming in tomorrow again at some stage and starting removing these panels, taking off the inverter, all the cabling, and this all gets replaced. The inverter is not good anymore. It for the last probably 2 years, 2.5, 3 years maybe even, it shows an error in the morning and I have to restart the inverter. I have to turn off DC. There's a countdown running on the display because it's waiting for sun. And it counts down from 60 seconds down to 0, and then it would retry to connect to solar again. And when the timer is at 52 seconds, I have to turn on DC again, and then the inverter works. For the rest of the day, perfectly fine, no error anymore, nothing. And it always says ground fault. But I have measured the system in all details. There's no ground fault at all. All the panels are working fine. Well, they are old, but they are working. No ground fault. I think it is the inverter not measuring correctly anymore. Because this is a very sensitive system here. This is my high feed-in tariff system. The electrician is coming tomorrow and get this all done for me. Because as per the feed-in contract, I cannot upgrade the system to anything larger. So we need to stay within the 5 kilowatt inverter, which it can push into the grid. And we also need to stay within the panel size of 5.12 kilowatt peak. 27 panels, 190 watts each. These 27 panels will be replaced by 12 panels, 415 watt peak. And these will be bifacial solar panels. Same price as the normal ones, but they claim they can give you up to 10-15% more power output depending how they are mounted. So, and I thought, well, we mount them all at the top row, so 12 panels up here, starting from there, because this is the combiner box, the old combiner box there, which goes in the roof. So we can reuse the hole in the roof then and connect them all in one row. Once the high feed-in tariff has finished in 2028, we can then upgrade the inverter with another row and over panel the whole system. Still keeping the inverter at 5 kilowatt because this is the maximum the inverter can do anyway. But of course, with more panels, it gives you more production. The inverter will be a Fronius Gen 24, the brand or the newer version of the Fronius inverters, a 5 kilowatt inverter. So we can connect this one to the Victron system, and then the Victron system uses this power from the roof here to charge the battery in the garage as well. Once the battery is full, the Victron Multiplus increases the frequency to 53 Hertz, and the Fronius inverter will turn off this grid tie solar. And this will be happening without any grid connection then. So the Fronius will actually recognize the Multiplus as a microgrid and does it all automatically then in conjunction with the Multiplus. And there's no control cable or something necessary between the Victron system and the Fronius. Just by increasing the frequency, it can control the output of the Fronius here at the house. But again, for the next 5 years, this will be grid connected still, and I'm really keen to see how the power output will increase, because these panels here, they are fairly cheap. They are Rini Solar, what it says here on the screen, 190 watt panels, as I said, and we have used them on the garage for the very first time when we built the first solar system here, and they were in the garage for like 2 weeks or something until I realized they are total shit. They were so degraded already they didn't output anything anymore. There was like 90, 100 watts per panel, so half of what they actually should produce. So I took them down quickly again and then replaced them with larger ones, 250 watt panels, as you know from the videos. I still got these panels here. I use them occasionally and I will sell all these panels here in rail systems then for a good price, and the inverter goes to electronic waste because it's faulty. Some of them showing these snail trails, as you can see here. Yeah. Third panel from the left. Can you see this cell there, which is a bit brownish? Sometimes the reflection is really good and you can really see it. Ah, here you can see it. See this cell there? And if you look closer, you can see it has a bit of a different color and it has a snail trail over it as well. So this cell has shorted, obviously. This is like 2 years ago or something. I took the panel down and tried to replace it with another panel because I've got heaps of these 190 watt panels, and put them in the sun here, had the MPPT connected in the battery and measured, and this panel actually outputs still 4.8 amps out of the 5 amps maximum it can do. So the panel is working totally fine, voltages are fine, everything is working far better than the ones I have stored in the carport, the used ones. So eventually I put the panel back in and it's working since, so there's no issue with it. And there are some others which showing similar staining of some cells, but it seems like they're all working fine. But all in total of this system here, in pure sun, I'm not getting more than 3.1 kilowatt peak out of this system. No, not peak, kilowatt out of this system here. But if you have these cloud corner situations, you know, when the sun is behind clouds and then peaks out all of a sudden, and you get the reflection from the clouds as well onto the panels, and the panels are cooled down, I'm still seeing 5.1, 5.2 kilowatt being produced by this system here. So the peak output is still there, but the efficiency is just not there in cloudy conditions or in shading conditions as we have here in the morning. Then the efficiency is just not there, and I can see even my 3 kilowatt system on the carport or the 3 kilowatt system on the big shed there with the new panels, they are producing more power, even facing the opposite way to the sun, than this whole 5 kilowatt system. So the efficiency has gone down, or the efficiency is much better with the new panels. And anyway, yeah, so tomorrow will be the big day. They are starting tomorrow, hopefully. I'll see. I'll be at work tomorrow, so they may give me a call from time to time and asking what they need to do, how I want this system to be installed. So let's see how it looks like tomorrow in the PM. And I was thinking of getting all these panels in one row, because the bifacial then collects all the sun from all around this one row. The alternative would be to have 6 panels in this row and 6 panels in the bottom row here. But I think when the sun is going down further in winter time, I have shading here on the bottom part of this roof. So I really prefer the one row here. Well, with shading you cannot win, you know. Half an hour later the shadow is somewhere else, and then it's a total different situation again, and then you said, oh, I should have put the panels there, but then half an hour before it was bad on this side. So it doesn't really matter. But as you have seen from the intro here now, the solar system produces at the moment around 15 kilowatt per day on electricity. So and this will be very interesting to see how much more we get with the new panels and the new system than the more efficient panels bifacial. And the decision to put them up only in the top row here was also, when the sun goes down this way, it actually shines underneath. It has then exactly the same angle. Yeah, and then the sun shines directly under the solar system for a moment, for 10-15 minutes or so. So I'm keen to see if we get actually a boost at this point of time when they get pleasured from the back. That's the plan. Once this is installed, I'll talk a bit about the financial situation of replacing this system here as well, and if it is worth for the next 5 years, if I get my money actually back. But let's see what happens tomorrow, and well, then we talk again, right? Bye bye solar panel. it has been real. Yeah, this one has 54 megawatt hours, and the inverter got replaced after 2 years or so under warranty because it was faulty. The good JFY Chinese inverter. This one sucks donkey balls.
The next day.
Oh, that's a classic for the last morning. Isolation error. So what I do now is disconnect DC, and then I wait until it says 52 seconds, exactly 52. Then I have to turn it back on again. Now. And then it counts down to 0, restarts and works. It needs to be exactly 52 seconds. I don't know why, but then it works the whole day, and sometimes the next day, the next 2 or 3 days, and then it fails for 2 weeks again every single morning. So, and it has nothing to do with moisture or rain or something. It is in pure drought, in pure rain, totally random. Well, it will be your last day.
The next day.
So these are the two safety signs. They need to be mounted here in the roof space. I can see the solar cable coming on there in a conduit and going there in the wall. The switchboard is there. Oh, the new system is running and producing. It's the first time in the morning for a long time that I don't need to restart anything here. So the sun is still behind the trees. This morning it is 7:30 exactly, and the system is in full shade. We've got some sunny patches there, here and there, but everything else is in full shade. And I can see on the dashboard here we've got a voltage of 382 volts already, but there's only 480 milliamps. And yeah, this is basically one string connected to one of the MPPTs of the inverter. So this is the experiment I'm doing right now, because as I said yesterday, the alternative would have been to have 2 rows, 6 panels each, and connect them in one string, or the electrician wanted to actually connect 2 separate strings, 6 panels each, to the inverter. I said, nah, let's do one large long row across the top of the roof and see how this performs, because later in the day, or in an hour or so, we will have some panels in the sun and some others will be in the shade, and I want to see what the performance output is of that. So it's a bit of an experiment what I did here. I'm not sure if this was the best decision. You never know. You never know. Okay, let's have breakfast and then... this is a very good example to show that the voltage of the whole solar system is almost the same, regardless if the panels are in full sun or in full shade like now. Because 380, that's almost the MPPT, or the maximum voltage in the power point of each of the panels, times 12. So the voltage will not increase once the solar system is in full sun. But of course the current will change a lot between shading and full sun. So it is now 9 o'clock, and this is the exact situation we have now. 1, 2, 3, the first 4 panels are in full sun, while the remaining panels are in shade. And we have a power output of 320 watts, 7% utilization, 400 volts and 800 milliamps DC. And this is exactly one test I wanted to do in this regards here. That's why I went with the one string solution, partly sun, partly shading then. Because a lot of people contacted me and said, well, Andy, why didn't you use the Victron RS? You could have put all your solar panels together in one string, 450 volts maximum for these MPPTs, and you wouldn't have to deal with all this cabling for parallel connections. But, well, as we can see, this would be an example of a string you could connect to the Victron RS MPPT controller. Half of the panels in shade, half of them in sun. And you can see the power output is not that great. But if I would put 2 panels of them in series and have several of these strings then in parallel, the first 2 strings would output full power. So this is like 400, 800, so 1.5 kilowatt from these 2 strings already, while the other ones would contribute just a bit. And this is exactly what we can see here on the off-grid garage, because we've got so many parallel strings now. The power output in partly shading is insanely high, far higher as if I would put all these panels in one string like over here. And we can also see we've got some shading here on this lower side of the roof where the old panels were before. And this was the reason I wanted them to have as high as possible, because well, there's no shading for these panels at the moment here. And I guess in the next half an hour, what's the time actually? Oh yeah, it's 9 o'clock. So I think in the next half an hour the shading will move further this way, and we will have more and more power output of this string now. But because we have some shading down here on the flat area as well, this shade will move this direction as well and would have shaded the second row. Another reason I wanted to do this one string first to see how it goes. Well, with shading you can never win. But this shows you actually my thoughts about why not using the Victron RS MPPT controllers and a high voltage DC string. Because in wintertime, from like in the last 4 weeks, I don't have full sun on these roofs anymore because of the trees. But with a parallel setup now, the power output is still very, very high. So yeah, give it another half an hour and then we have another look and see how much power we get. Oh, it is now 9:15 and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 panels, 6.5 panels in full sun, and the rest is still in shade. And I can see a power output now of 1.8 kilowatt all of a sudden. So this was very quickly achieved here. If we have a look at the numbers, we have a DC voltage now of 164 volts only. So this is less than half of what we have seen before, but we have a current of 10.8 amps from the solar panels. That is very interesting to see. 200 volts now, so it goes up and down depending on the shading. Because of the wind, the shading moves, and we have now full power output of these first couple of panels then. But well, looking at this situation here, I probably should have gone with the second row underneath. So 6 panels up there and 6 panels down here, because they are in full sun already, while these ones are not. But I think this shadow will move over this part of the roof soon. You cannot win. Well, it is what it is now. Okay, let's give it another 15 minutes. 9:30, and then we should see almost full power output. There might be 1 or 2 panels still shaded. Very interesting to watch. It is now 9:30 and we have reached 2.5 to 3 kilowatt. You can see it, 3 kilowatt of power production. So this is basically the same power output as I had with the old system under ideal and maximum conditions, when the old system was in full sunshine. But here we still have 4.5 panels shaded at the moment, so there are still more to come. So we've got an energy output of 3.6 to 4 kilowatt I have seen already, depending when the wind pushes the trees away and we have full sun on the panels. So I guess we will be in full sunshine. Here 4.15 now. We will be in full sunshine in a few minutes. Yeah, the last panel is still shaded. Last 1.5 panels are still shaded, so power output is going up and down all the time. Interesting. I've never seen these figures here for a very long time. 4 kilowatt output. This is like 7-8 years ago or something with the old system when I saw this the last time. Unless we had these cloud corner situations, of course, then it peaks for a moment. But permanent power output. Wow. And we can also hear, or maybe not hear, the fan has actually turned on. I can hear a very... Yeah, you may be able to hear it now. Is it actually getting warm in there? No. It has vent openings at the top, on the side, and at the bottom here as well. Ah, it has stopped now again. All right. Yeah, I was a bit concerned about this fan situation here, but you cannot hear it at all. So it is now 10:30 and we have no shading here on the roof whatsoever anymore. This is all gone. I've seen the shadow actually moves this way because the sun gets higher. So I could have gone with a second row underneath here, which would have given me a little bit more power in the morning when all these panels are already in sun. So that was probably my bad to have them all in one string up there. But it is what it is now. And we are producing 4.23 kilowatts at the moment. And this is probably the maximum we can achieve with this system in these conditions. So 85 to 86% utilization of the inverter. It's a 5 kilowatt inverter. And the solar panels have 4.9 kilowatt peak output. So 4.23 now. I was expecting a bit over 4 kilowatts, so that's totally fine. Man, I have to clean up all this shit down here today. That'll be a lot. What I'm a bit missing on this inverter is a display. A small display where I can push a button and can see the current status, how much kilowatt hour I've produced. You always have to use the app now. That is a bit cumbersome and a bit of a bad design. So we've got now noon, 12 o'clock, and solar output is 4.14 kilowatts. So this will decrease even further now because the sun is actually going, well, this way, and the angle on the solar panels just gets worse from now on. I find it quite interesting that we are seeing only 340 volts here for the solar system. If we have a look at the specifications of these panels, they should have 31.16 in the maximum power point. So this times 12 is around 375 or something, and we are seeing 340, so there are 30 volts missing. And I thought maybe they have forgotten to connect one of them. Maybe the very last one is not even connected. That would be insane. Because this is exactly 30 volts missing. All right. Super stormy again today. All right, so here we have the half-cut phono bifacial, they've got glass on the backside as well. Oh yeah, we can see the panels from the backside as well. Look at this. No shit, huh? Nice. Okay, I'll put some mirrors or something down here which reflect the sunlight to the back, and then we have an even higher efficiency. And this is all connected, I believe. I don't think there's anything not connected. It's just what it is. But you can see it now. We are on the roof here, and the sun is basically 90 degrees to the panel, so the sun is coming this way, not this way. So that's why we see a lower voltage already. I don't know if you can understand me. I'll just keep talking. Yeah, and this is basically the new label as per the current regulations here, because we don't have an isolator on the roof anymore, thankfully. But we need this label here on one point, and we should be able to reach this disconnection point then here. So in case of a fire, the fire brigade is coming onto the roof. looking for this label, disconnect the solar string, and then start putting the fire out. Yeah, I think this is the plan. Stupid regulations. So it is now 1 p.m. and we are still making 3.48 kilowatts with the system. Voltage is at 345, so pretty constant. Can you actually see anything? Maybe not. And now we've got the situation that the sun is actually on a 90-degree angle to the solar panel, so it's coming from the side, 90 degrees from the side, not from the top, but from the side. And the angle, I would say, is about, this is 90, I guess it would be around 60 degrees from the top and 90 degrees from the side. So not ideal conditions anymore. We can already see a decline of power generation now, but still 3.5 is pretty good. It's now 1:45 and we are still making 3 kilowatt. You can see the sun is now 90 degrees to the panels, so production goes down. I've now made 1.2 kilowatt hours more with this new system than we did over the whole day with the old system, and we still got another 4 hours of daylight, which will get worse for the solar system now because the sun is going this way, so the angle gets really shallow then. But let's see how much we can make. It will be an interesting test. I'm cleaning up this shit here at the moment. So it is now, what's the time? It's now 3:30 and we are still making just above 1 kilowatt, but the sun is actually on the other side now. It's basically behind the panels, very shallow, but still 1 kilowatt. And I was just going to observe the shadow there from the chimney, which actually may hit one of the panels, and also from these bushes there, but it doesn't affect the panels at all because the sun goes this way. I should put some panels on the other side now. That is another 200 square meters of roof just on the other side. Okay, I still haven't finished my cleanup here, and I'm doing other stuff in the garage. So there's the sun, and there's no production anymore. It's like 250 watts or something. It's 4 p.m. now, and that's basically it for the day. So there will be nothing happening, and we've got the shading of this gum tree here now on the roof anyway. All right, yeah, let's talk about the economy of this upgrade, of this replacement, of this swap here a bit, but I'll clean up the roof first, otherwise I won't get it done. Okay, talk to you in I don't know, half an hour or so. Well, and now that it's dark outside, we want to have a quick look how much power we have, how much energy we have actually generated with the new solar system. And I can show you this actually on my mobile phone by, well, the Fronius app and Fronius software actually totally sucks donkey balls. But we can have a look in the Shelly energy meter, which shows us the exact consumption or production of that time frame. So we want to go. So this is actually day number 2 now since we have the solar installed. I haven't done any recording yesterday, so day number 2 we had a bit of a cloud situation today. You can see it here from the curve how spiky it is, and we have made 17.9 kilowatt hours with this system. But yesterday we had no clouds at all, pure sunshine the whole day long, and we made 19.8, almost 20 kilowatt hours with the new solar system. But if we go one day back, this was actually the day of the installation. We had only half a kilowatt hour. That was in the morning, and then the electrician came and turned everything off for the whole day. And when we turned it back on in the afternoon, it was already 5 o'clock and the sun was behind the house. So there was no production yesterday. But the day before was also a very sunny day, and we had still the old system connected to it. If I can, yeah, that's the curve. With the old system, 14.4 kilowatt hours. Yeah, same situation, same roof, same orientation, same weather, same sun. And the day before that was a very sunny day as well. Because it is sunny, hot Australia here, we have this kind of weather. So the day before, full sunshine, was 13.66 kilowatt hours. But this should be our reference, 14.4 kilowatt hours with the old system, and then 19.8 with the new system. So this is the difference. So this is actually an increase in production of 37%, which is huge. So I did a bit of a calculation now and thought about, was it actually worth doing this investment now, 5 years before the contract ends and we don't have the high fee tariff anymore? Because at the moment I'm getting 44 cents for each kilowatt hour I'm exporting, plus another 5.2 cents per kilowatt hour from my provider. So the big portion comes from the government and the small portion comes from the actual energy provider. So this is almost 50 cents per kilowatt hour, right? So if we have a look at the numbers again, 14.4 kilowatt hours with the old system and 19.8, this is around 5 kilowatt hours more, a bit more than 5, let's say 5 kilowatt hours per day, which I'm gaining with the new system. And 5 kilowatt hours times these 49.2 cents I'm getting makes $2.46 per day. This times 365, assuming we have these additional 5 kilo pump. The pump kicks in. We haven't had this for a while. The pump kicks in. There must be a leak somewhere. So assuming we are getting these 5 kilowatt hour more of production every single day, probably in summer a bit more than 5 kilowatt hours, in the winter a bit less, in cloudy conditions maybe a bit less, I don't know yet. Just as a rough figure, 5 kilowatt hours, $2.46 per day times 365 is $897, so almost $900 a year. And $900 times 5 years makes $4,500 in 5 years until the contract runs out. And I think this is not enough to cover the costs of the solar upgrade and installation. I haven't got a bill yet from the electrician, but the estimation was around $5,000 to $6,500. This also includes taking off the old system without cutting any cables, because I wanted to have these solar panels functional with all the original MC4 connectors, because I'm going to sell this old system soon. So the worst case would be I'm $2,000 short in the next 5 years with this new system. But then the thoughts were, well, the inverter wasn't working quite well anymore, and I had to get up early in the morning to restart this inverter. Not so bad in wintertime because it's still dark in the morning, but in summertime the sun comes up at 5 a.m. or something, and you need to get up early because you want to harvest all these kilowatt hours in summertime. And it was just a fucking nightmare. So I actually had to replace the inverter anyway. So I had these costs about, let's say, $3,000 anyway for a new inverter, including the installation through the electrician. Get this all connected. At least $3,000 I had to pay anyway for a new inverter. So, and because we are getting the STCs, the small solar credits again for this installation here, so there was actually a bit of a discount on this system, which almost paid for all the solar panels, right? These solar panels, again, like on the off-grid garage here, were almost free. So I only had to pay for the installation, taking the old solar panels off, putting the new ones on with a rail system, get the cabling inside the house, and upgrade the whole installation to the newest standard and regulation. And then also having this inverter installed, which actually can talk to the Victron system here later on. And we can use the power generated on the house to charge our battery shelf here and other batteries as well, in an off-grid situation where there's no grid connection at all. So there was all this playing a role in making a decision as well. Not only what kind of inverter I'm getting, but also upgrading the solar panels just to increase the productivity as well. And I've seen only 2 days so far, so it's a bit early to say how much better the system actually is to the old one. So I have to wait for a full cloudy day to see how much I generate and then compare this to the data I already have. And then once I have the energy bill again, so I can compare this to the quarters of the previous years. So from a pure financial perspective, I think I made a bit of a loss here with the solar upgrade now, but I couldn't really tell how much more production I'm getting with the new system, and we still cannot really tell from the last 2 days only. So give me a bit more time here to generate more data, and then we can compare it again, and well, hopefully it all pays off. But here, having a look at the Fronius app on the mobile phone, it is... There, this is pretty much all the data you are getting through the app. You get the weather and you get the current power production, and that's pretty much it. There's no production, no kilowatt hours, no graph, nothing. In the history, there is nothing in the history, nothing populating at all. I haven't bothered putting anything in the earnings section of the app, and that's pretty much it. You're not getting any data, you're not getting any volts, any amps, any watts, nothing. Not even the generated kilowatt hours per day is being displayed in this app. I did some Googling, of course, and I found a lot of information saying you actually need a Fronius smart meter connected in your meter box as well to make this all work. So it can actually then distinguish what have you produced on your roof, what have you used in your house, and how much you have exported, and then calculate the return of investment and all this kind of shit. I mean, I just want the basic kilowatt hours per day, per week, per month, and per year. This is basic stuff and should be included even without buying another meter. And I'm not going to chuck even more money at a Fronius company just for buying another meter and get this connected. So it shows me the kilowatt hours in this app. Yeah, and this is a different view on the inverter now. But this only works when I'm at home and connected to the same Wi-Fi, to the same network as the inverter is. But it doesn't give us any kilowatt hours per day either. The only more information we're getting here is the advanced tab. And here under the inverter, we are getting all this technical stuff for the inverter. But again, no kilowatt hours, no energy produced during the day. Nothing. Isn't that sad? So really the whole Fronius software app, solar.web cloud stuff, this all, yeah. Well, I have now started playing around with Home Assistant.
Home Assistant! Home Assistant! Home Assistant!
Thanks, Paul. And I found a fairly easy way to integrate the Fronius inverter into Home Assistant now. And this actually shows me the kilowatt hours. So obviously the data is in the inverter, but the app doesn't show it. So I'm trying to build this all in a dashboard now in Home Assistant, but I have only limited time to look into this. And because Home Assistant is not very user-friendly, I'm not sure if I'm able to generate a dashboard which I can actually present to the public. Okay guys, I think so far this video here from my newest solar adventures, from my solar upgrade on the house. So I'm very keen to see if the government actually contacts me now and asks some questions, because my solar production is increasing all of a sudden. And as per contract, they have to pay me more money now. But this was also one reason I engaged the electrician again, to be on the safe side with my high feed-in tariff here, to not lose anything, because we have to stay in the contract restrictions. Otherwise, we would lose this tariff here, which would be really a shame. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your great support here on the channel. Thanks for all your hundreds and millions of comments under my last videos. I can barely keep up reading them, and I'm trying to respond to as many as possible.
Don't forget to like that smash button if you can find it.
Oh, thanks, Joe. And until the next video, guys, when we start a new project, well, there will be one video before, I think, and then we will start a new project here in the off-grid garage. A new battery build, and we want to do something completely crazy, which I have not seen here on the internet, so it will be a world premiere again, coming to you from the off-grid garage here in sunny hot Australia. You stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then, bye bye. Ah, there was one thing I want to show you. So before I let you go, I just want to show you something here. You can see phase C, which has a consumption of 20 watts at the moment, right? And you can also see the inverter is turned on at the moment. Even we have night, you know, there's no solar production, but the inverter is still running. So it must pull some power from the AC power, right? And I've never seen these 20 watts before with the old system, because the old inverter was purely powered from DC. And well, if there was no sun, the inverter was just turned off. but this one keeps running overnight. 20 watts around now. So if I turn the AC isolator off now, which turns off the inverter, you can see the consumption goes down to 13 watts. And this was always the standby from my internet router, I think it is, which I always could see on phase C. So 7 watts, so the new inverter uses actually 7 watts from AC overnight. So I'm turning this one back on. It will be a bit of a peak now. 60 watts, and then it goes back to 20 watts. Start up sequence, connects to the Wi-Fi and all this kind of stuff. So I've never seen an inverter using AC power to keep alive overnight. Is this a normal thing with inverters these days? I thought they are all turning off overnight, but this one, not so much.